What's happening, guys? Welcome back. Due to the ongoing situation on the Ukrainian border, as I'm sure you're aware, don't waste gas. Hence, it's a bit fucking nippy here today. Right. Where do we fucking start? When I was on a TV program called The Call Centre, nearly 10 years ago now, it's very hard to find any footage of it. For political reasons, it's been shelved. But I made a lot of contacts in the BBC, people, working on the programme, etc. One of them messaged me a few months ago, and he said, Griff, I've got some very interesting news for you. I said, what's that? He said, during lockdown, the first, the original lockdown, when we were locked down properly, yeah? Remember they couldn't make EastEnders for a while, stuff like that, proper lockdown. I said, yeah. He said there's a top secret psychological experiment being launched on the British public. I'm like, what? He said, yeah. He said, you're not allowed to say nothing about it. This year, those exact words were, you're not allowed to say anything about it this year. And this was about 6 months ago. I said, well, what's that all about? He said, what they've done, because there's so many writers, producers, people from Hollywood, etc., unable to work at the moment, they formed like this secret society, for want of a better word, of people from the TV and film industry. And they've been conducting a series of meetings via Zoom. And I'm like, right, why are you telling me this? He said, oh, well, I know you're interested in this sort of stuff. He said, what they've done, they've got together lots of out-of-work actors. And what they're going to do is create a community on YouTube of actors who are going to pretend that they're not actors, set up their own channels and create a series of they're going to create like an online soap opera. And I'm like, are they? I said, that's not going to work. He said, yeah, it's going to be great. He said, there's going to be like this Welsh guy, there's going to be a guy from London, some Scousers, a guy actually living in London, and then it's going to be on every night, and there's going to be some mad fucking bloke from Nottingham as well. I said, oh, when's that going to be on then? He said, I can't tell you. Anyway, enough of that. Right, the ongoing podcast wars. Well, round about Christmas, New Year, yeah, when Positive Vibes channel was launched, there was a couple of lives around that time, as we've discussed in previous episodes, which are utterly mental. If you're a follower of this nonsense, you know what I'm on about. And I thought, well, this game has peaked. It won't get better than that. Yesterday, I think, was the most mental thing I've ever witnessed with my eyes, outside of real life. My attention span, right? I can't remember the last time I read a book properly. Although I do, Audible now, innit? Audiobooks. But, I can't watch a football game from start to finish. My attention span compared to what it used to be like through things like social media and all that crap, yeah? It's fucked, yeah? Last night, I sat through about 6 hours of a live. till about 3 o'clock this morning, and I really should have been asleep. Utterly bizarre. Right, how do we break it down? I know I don't want to be rude here about people, and you know, I went through lots of different ways of thinking last night, right? I was watching this nonsense at one point, and I was thinking, this is wrong, From a human point of view, this is wrong. It's like, there's all these people making themselves sort of public, putting their lives on the screen, showing themselves, in all of their vulnerabilities or whatever, their business being aired in public. And there's a lot of people sitting around fucking watching it for their own amusement, and turning people's real life emotions into some sort of tittle tattle tidbit, willy-nilly sort of fly-by-night viewing, and I thought, is it wrong that I'm watching this, Obviously then I remembered I was sacked from my job on TV with like a fucking million people watching it, and I thought, yeah, well, fuck it, just carry on watching, Griff. Because you decide whether you want to be involved or not in this caper, yeah? You can't have it both ways, Morally, maybe you should be able to have it both ways, but in reality, you can't, When I went on a TV program and signed the thing at the start saying, yeah, wherever you film, you can do the fuck with this what you want, and there's nothing I can do about it. Once you make that decision, then you have to accept the consequences. Luckily for me, I just look like a sort of maverick hero, so it worked out all right. But, there's people in this podcast wars, there's no other way to describe it. They put themselves out there, and some people are just not about this life. Do you know what I mean? Some people are not about this life, and some are. There's some people get involved in this shit, and they know the game they're in, and they know what could happen, and they know how to deal with it, and then they just get on with it, and there's other people, they fucking don't, So firstly, let me say, right, one of my pet hates, right, has always been when you split up with your missus. In my experience, it's more like when your missus finishes with you, and then out of the blue, she's got these like male friends who come running to the fucking rescue. And it's like, oh no, he's just my mate. Oh, is he? I just went out with you for 3 years, and first I've heard of this mate. Don't remember him calling around to have a cup of tea and a chat with us, do you know what I mean? So the type of blokes, yeah, who like to go sniping round when there's a bit of flipping, when there's a damsel in distress. Yeah. There's a damsel in distress and they go riding to the rescue. Lame stuff that, now. But, and I don't know the facts, obviously, I ain't got time for that. I can't afford to watch 7-hour lives and then research before a video. My research is watching this shit. But from the little bits of information I'm picking up, fighting trolls, right, what the crime he's committed as, allegedly, is he has been speaking on Insta to his mate's missus. Now, if this Instagram conversation between fighting trolls and the lady from up north if that happened before the lad from up north and the lady from up north came on to Trolls Live, then it's a different situation than if Mr. and Mrs. North had been on the live. Trolls had a bit of a chat with them, knew they were together, waited till they'd had a ruck, and then slid in the DMs, as the kids say. So before being able to make an accurate judgment of all this, I think it's very important that we ascertain exactly when this Insta messaging scandal took place, and exactly when Mr. and Mrs. North first appeared in the snake pit. Because I think Trolls is, I think he's getting far more grief than he probably deserves. Not just about this, in general. Lots of words, really. Some of it's sort of deserved, but I do think that, and I'm sure a lot of people are sort of half mucking about. Do you know what I mean? I'm sure they're half mucking about. It's like sometimes people do need taking down a peg or two, but other times, it's human nature, and that people can have their nose put out of joint sometimes when they probably shouldn't. It's like Trolls is going on this 3D Fight Club now, March 19th at Bowlers, Manchester. Tickets available on the 3D Fight Club website. Just put the code in when you buy Griff. Yeah. You won't get any discount, but it'll look good for me, won't it? So he's been put on that bill. And obviously there's a lot of people are like, who the fuck do you think he is? And he's got a bit carried away with it, but you would, wouldn't you? And he's loving it. And he's a likeable lad, man. He's a likeable lad. And considering, right, he runs like 3-hour lives every night with a fucking willy-nilly fucking entrance policy. Anybody can come on and talk about whatever they want. And considering all that, he does sort of manage to hold it together, in some shape or form. Not perfectly, but Christ, who could? Do you know what I mean? And, a lot of the sort of originals have sort of branched off. There's been little beefs now, little crispy beefs. And they're off doing their own things. and he's getting a bit of stick, And I don't think it's all totally warranted. And, it's weird for me because, and I've said this from the off, I don't have favourites and I'm out here to judge and all that. I always say that, because sharing is caring and it helps my channel grow. I sort of, there's only a handful of people in this whole community who I can't handle sort of, listening to them when they're on, do my head in a bit. And it's not because I just dislike them, it's just I find them hard work to listen to. It's just a clash of personalities or something, I don't know. And there's not many, so a lot of the people who give him Paul all this grief, I sort of quite like them. And, I watch these offshoot channels now, happily. But, yeah, that was all weird last night, wasn't it? So yeah, as I say, it depends when all that stuff happened. Obviously, right, if Mr. and Mrs. Upnorth had come on the pit, Trolls had got to know him a little bit, knew they were together, and then he's sliding in Mrs. North's DMs, then, that's out of order, yeah? If it was before they'd been on the pit as a couple, as the sort of posh and backs of the pit, or nosh and packs, if it was before that, And she'd messaged him, and he's like, "Ah, come to Scotland." I remember him inviting about 20 people to Scotland. You know what I mean? When he was going to Scotland, anybody who come on, he was like inviting them up there. You know, I remember thinking at the time, mate, you're making far too many arrangements with different people. Yes, logistically, it's going to be an absolute bloody nightmare for PP to sort out. So, you know, it could have been quite innocent, and the way it blew up last night, before all these facts have come to the bloody surface, it's, you know, I think it should have all been discussed behind closed doors, really. Before it was brought to the public. And then obviously, and you know, all the people who fucking hate Paul, easy ammunition to jump on. And obviously then Mr. Dring, old Ash, who has been looking, you know, he's been looking to carve a name for himself out in this game. Because he loves the lives, doesn't he? He obviously thought yesterday, what's the best way to diffuse this situation? Now, it's getting a bit serious. There's a lot of flipping goings on. Mr. Upnorth had been on the pit, shouting at Mr. Flint. Mr. Flint and Mr. and Mrs. North had been speaking off camera in the day. Mr. Upnorth had come on and had a bit of a fucking slanging match with Mr. Flint. So Mr. Dring, in his wisdom, thought, right, the best way to diffuse this situation is if I go live, get like an 8-ball in, and an industrial size crate of Foster's, and then get Mr. Upnorth on, just have a chat, you know, just have a chat with him about what's been going on, and, you know, maybe sort of find some common ground and broker some peace. You know, I think that was obviously Mr. Dring's intention. Didn't quite work out like that. Now, you know, alcohol is a hell of a drug. You know, there's certain drugs, right, which aren't good for this community if you're going to be live. Most of them, really, I suppose. But, you know, the problem with alcohol is, and going live, you know, if you're not very good at drinking, is you'll just say and do absolutely fucking anything and wake up in the morning and have little to no recollection of what a couple of thousand people are going to remember in intimate detail. You're better off getting a load of gear and a load of what's known around here as gear, which would be heroin. You're better off just getting a load of heroin if you're going to go live, and you are going to get off it, and just fucking nodding off after about 5 minutes. And then the next day, you'll be like, oh my God, did you see him? He gouged out on the live and fucking fell asleep. And he'd be like, oh my God, fucking what a fucking smackhead. Yeah. And that's it. There's nothing else that can be said about you. You just revealed yourself to be a fan of using heroin. But with alcohol, it takes too long to fucking fall asleep, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean? And yeah, and you are going to start speaking some mad shit. You know, I'm aware I've got to be careful what I say, do you know what I mean? In terms of, you know, I don't want to say anything that I'm not comfortable putting out. I don't edit these videos, do you know what I mean? That's one thing I've decided at the start. You can't make a video and then watch it back and think, oh, I looked a bit of a twat in that bit, I'm going to cut that out, you know. I'm aware I look like a fucking twat, you know. There's going to be people who think I'm a complete and utter fucking prick. And, you know, fair play to you, you know. I accept that when I come on here and put it on onto YouTube and have no idea who's going to watch it. Do you know what I mean? So I accept that, you know. So I'm sort of not wary, but it's like morally, I don't know, fuck, if I was going to be moral about this, I wouldn't have fucking pressed record really, would I? Completely moral about it. But as I say, when people put themselves out there are consequences, and it is interesting, you know, it's funny, and it's sad, and it's topical, and it's relevant to the times we live in. It's a long-term product of Thatcher's Britain. The basically the destruction of the working class male, and this is one of the places it's ended up. You know, it's also an indictment of modern day Britain and some of the problems. It's also partly a result of the scat pandemic, the lockdowns, and all the associated problems with that. It's an interesting look at the mental health epidemic going on. Now, I've said, I don't know if I've said it on here, I know I've said it in previous work, you know, I've done possibly on my old channel, I don't know, but I'll say it again because I think it's important. And you've got to word it very carefully, you know, but well, you don't, but it's best to. I believe there are two different types of mental health issues running simultaneous at the moment. You've got people who have got mental health conditions or problems or whatever the phrase is. Sorry about that noise, it's my freezer. I always say I'm going to turn it off when I record, but I know I'd forget to turn it back on. And I'm not wasting £4 worth of fish fingers for this. Yeah, you got people with serious, well not even serious, you've got people with a varying degree of mental health conditions that if it's a chemical imbalance or it's a result of traumatic experiences or there's probably a selection of reasons that they've got these mental health conditions, okay? As far as treatment, a lot of people require professional help, you know, via sort of drugs, basically, via, you know, pharmaceutical solutions. You know, I've known people, right, who are on medication, yeah, for mental health issues, and they sort of function okay, and then they stop taking their medication, and they've just gone, yeah, they've gone. And you can see, right, yeah, it's probably a good idea you're taking that. Obviously, there's drawbacks to some of these medications, you know. I think it should be a last resort, yeah. I think it should be a last resort. So, you know, you got that type of mental health situation going on, yeah, where people could be living a perfectly healthy life and doing all the right things and, you know, being a sort of a life that they enjoy, you know, and still these mental health conditions crop up, right? And then you've got, and I feel I'm qualified to speak about this because I think I've done this myself. I think you've got what I like to term, I don't like to, but it does what it says on the tin. Then you've got what I call self-inflicted mental health issues, or partly self-inflicted, shall we say, whereby one's lifestyle and what Bobby Robson used to refer to as refueling habits has an effect on your brain or your mind or your, you know, your ability to process life. And yeah, I was I was very unhappy, shall we say. God, this has happened to me a few times in my life, but around about September 2019, yeah, my mental health problems had sort of got to a point where, yet again, I was just finding it very difficult to fit in around here. And that sort of prompted me to actually do something about it. Because I couldn't cope with how I felt, so I made a few sort of lifestyle changes. Not easy, but the change became easier than not changing, yeah, which was incentive, shall we say. And I feel a lot better now than I did then, yeah. Now there's probably still some residual mental health challenges, shall we say. But it would be a lot worse if I hadn't have made those changes. So as I say, some people don't have that option, yeah? Some people with mental health issues can't sort of say, do you know what, if I stop doing that, and start doing that, I'll be all right. Because it probably wouldn't make any difference. Do you know what I mean? As I say, they need some sort of professional help. Be that via, talking therapies, etc. Or be that via medication, But, going for a 3 mile run and eating some veg. A lot of people are doing that anyway, yeah? And get these mental health problems. So some people need serious professional help. Now, obviously it's very, very important that mental health issues are taken seriously. There's an absolute fucking, I don't know, how can you justify it? I read somewhere before, I don't know if it is a fact, but I read it. It's like that for men under the age of like 45 or whatever, biggest killer is suicide. That's an absolutely shocking fact, if it's in fact true. So it's not a subject that we can take lightly. Yeah, bizarre really. So yeah, we can't take it lightly, but also we have to, if we are lucky enough to be in the self-inflicted mental health problems camp, we have to help ourselves. As the old saying goes, nobody can help you until you help yourself. Now, sometimes that help may not be available, and that's a problem, because sometimes you need help to help yourself, yeah? But you can have all the help in the world. If you're not helping yourself, then, you're going to be helpless. Well, you're not, because you've got help, but it's not going to work. And I think you find that a lot of these characters in this ongoing soap opera fall into the camp. Not all, I'm not specifying anybody in particular here, but a lot of the characters in this ongoing scenario, what's the word? Yeah, the ongoing soap opera, that is what I like to term, for continuity purposes, the podcast wars. A lot of these people have what I term self-inflicted or semi-self-inflicted mental health issues. And they don't appear to be doing much to help themselves. And if ever I do see them offered any help, they sort of tend to reject or ignore it. I think you got to be ready. You got to be ready for that type of stuff. But sometimes you got to drag yourself down quick enough to be ready to take the help while you've still got that fucking option. So yeah, so a lot of the characters in it last night, you know, and there's people coming on, oh, people are taking advantage of him, and oh, it's bad what's happening to him, and, you know, and there's elements of truth in that, but also, I tell you, you know, like last night, for example, right, you got fucking Mr. Dring and Mr. Upnorth, right, and they're on, and they're both fucking slamming the fucking bevies down. Dring, by his own admission, is fucking bursting on the fucking lines of coke, seeing like fucking Mika Richards on fucking methamphetamine. And they're there, and then there's random people coming in and out and in and out, and they're talking about this ongoing sort of beef with Insta message gate. And then there's people coming on the panel and in the chat, and oh, this is wrong, this is people taking the piss or people commenting. I tell you what would fuck those boys' heads up even more, right? If they'd have set that live up, right, when Ash decided to, oh, this is the best way to deal with this situation, I'll get the old 8-ball in, I'll get the industrial size crate of Foster's in, and I'll get Mr. Upnorth on to chat about this. What would have fucked their heads up even more is if nobody had watched. If they'd have been sitting there, right, they wouldn't have started talking to each other until they knew, oh, right, there's loads of people watching now. Yeah, there would have been nothing in it for them if they'd have had to sit. You know, like normal humans used to do. What would have happened in the good old days, right? Some bloke rings his mate, oh, you won't believe what's happened, but I know so-and-so, yeah. He's been messaging my missus. Oh, fuck's sake, what? Yeah, I know. What are we doing tonight? Oh, fuck off, should we go for a pint? Yeah, all right. What time are you there? 7. All right, I'll be there at 5 because I'm fucking, my head's gone, but see you at 7. Yeah, okay, ta-da. Yeah, see you in a bit. Boosh. They would have gone to the pub, and they would have sat in a pub, the two of them, maybe one or two other mates would have joined, and they would have sort of discussed it. Yeah, they wouldn't have gone to the pub and say, right, can everybody come and sit around us, right? Okay, now what's been going on is Mrs. blah, 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 and you, yeah, right, so we're going to chat about it, and if anybody wants to come and join us at the table, say what they want, and just come in and out as you please, guys, do you know what I mean? Yeah, no, don't worry about it, yeah, you don't mind talking about it, no, I'll talk about it. You know, that's basically what's happening on these channels, isn't it? It's like people are setting up an open forum to discuss their lives in all its glory, and inviting everybody and anybody to come and watch and contribute. And then they're going, oh, you fucking out of order, you lot are for watching this and commenting in the comment section. Watching it on the screen that I've put myself on. You know, you can't have it fucking both ways, do you know what I mean? And this is why, you know, on my old channel, right, I used to do this thing, it was called Griff's Lonely Dollar Lectures, right? About 5-6 years ago. Because I hate the word podcast. Everybody was doing podcasts in them days. There's more, somebody said the other day, I think it was Louis Theroux. He said there is now more podcasts. There's now more podcast hosts in the world than there are podcasts. Not actually true, but you get the point. But about 5-6 years ago, right, my mate used to like record himself and put it on. I used to love listening to him. Every Sunday night I'd listen to him speak for fucking half hour, an hour, whatever. Just chatting to himself about shit, telling a few stories and that. And he was like, oh, you should do a script. You're absolutely hilarious. And I'm like, yeah, I know, mate, I am. Yeah, I should. So I started doing it, right? Griff's Lonely Dollar Lectures, right? They're on YouTube. Locked out of that channel, otherwise I'd have put all this on the back of that. And then one day, I've been waiting for some sort of inspiration. and I was getting a Christmas job in Amazon, and I had to go for this sort of, it wasn't even an interview, it's basically turn up, fill all this shit in, and if you can pass the drugs test with somebody else's piss that you've got in a little bottle in your sock, you got the job. So obviously at Christmas, Amazon need about fucking 3 million people. So halfway through this sort of induction course, is more of a better way to describe it. Halfway through this induction course, I went outside for a quick fag, threw my fag down a drain, went back into the induction course. Next thing, this fucking guy's tapped me on the shoulder. I'm like, there's a guy who works for the council, right? I don't know if they got him all over the country, but in the Swansea city centre, you've got these council workers who walk about the city centre. It's basically trying to stop the spice heads fighting with the smack heads and stuff, you know. Although obviously there is a bit of interweaving in those camps, but and one of their jobs, they're like, fine people for dropping litter. And this bloke had seen me throw a fucking fag in a drain. So he thought, yeah, what I'll do, I'll follow this guy in now. To the job interview he's in. And I'll start writing him a ticket for this littering. I'm there in front of all my new sort of work friends, you know. But when that happened, it was a bit of a fucking palaver, and I thought, yeah, that's what I'll talk about. And then I did my first one. And every weekend, I used to go up my mate's house, used to record it on this thing called a Zoom. It's like a recording device. So I just put it on my kitchen table. I'd sit here and I'd fucking talk into it. What do they call it? Stream of thought, well, I don't know. But I'd just yap into it for a while, blah, 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 yeah. Got my mates, and he'd edit it a bit. We'd put it on YouTube, yeah, just audio only, yeah, but he'd put some fucking weird images up, yeah. And I used to do it every week, and I was really enjoying doing it and everything. So as time went on, and when I first started doing it, I was, going through one of my periods of abstinence from substances that create self-inflicted mental health issues. So I used to record this stuff, and I used to quite enjoy it. And then he started putting a bit more effort in, and I highly recommend you go and listen to him after this. There's about 20-30 hours of it on there. But it got to a point where my refueling habits was changing. So week in, week out, I was slipping back into my bloody old ways. And it was highly obvious to anybody listening that I wasn't my usual bubbly self, And I just get fucking smashed, yeah? And think, yeah, I got a good idea. Get the fucking Zoom out. Let's do a lecture. Because I used to call them lectures, because I didn't like the word podcast. And I always wanted to be a lecturer. So I thought, yeah, I'll call them lectures. And I was just fucking clean off it, and within a few weeks, I just lost interest in doing it. Because I listen back to them and think, this is getting embarrassing now. Do you know what I mean? And I sort of had to sort my shit out again. But I left them on there, yeah, because, there are consequences to your actions, yeah. And the consequences were, a lot of people would say to me, I used to enjoy these, fucking, you're just boring now, mate, point being, you can't have it both ways. There's consequences to your actions. What other cliches? I knew I should have written them down. So, yeah, it's pointless me going into specific details of all this shit going on, because it's the same old shit every time, really, innit? He's pissed off with him about this, and he's gone bang, 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 and he's gone bang, 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 and nobody's listening to anybody. Excuse me smoking. I don't usually smoke when I'm doing this, because I'm aware I'm a bit of a role model, in the Podcast Wars game, a bit of a role model. Somebody just said in the chat, what are you smoking? This is Cumberland Death Loon. Very rare strain. It only grows on Cumberland roundabout. Local joke there. Local joke for local people. Yeah, so as I say, same old shit. Fucking drama. We all lap it up like a load of fucking fishwives, don't we? But yeah, six hours. I was in bed, like, I went to bed about 5 times. And it was like, and I had to get up this morning, take my daughter to school. When I was there about 3 o'clock, thinking, Griff, you gotta get up at fucking 7. But what was his name? No, there was one guy who was brilliant on it. What was his name, man? Only a three letter name. He's Dring's manager. Oh shit, man! Sorry, mate. I can't remember your name, but he was fucking hilarious. He was hilarious because one of the dangers, right, of these this stream life, pond life, stream life. One of the dangers is when you start taking yourself too seriously. Now, I made an executive decision, me and my agent, when I started doing this channel, we were like, right, what's the advertising budget for this? I can't reveal it, but we discussed it. I said, right, are we going to pump this into making a really nice studio? Are we going to advertise this around the place? What's the angle here? Because we need to get first of all, we need to get 1,000 subs ASAP. Then we need to get to 10,000, 100,000, then 1 million. We had a 4-point plan. Much like James English, to take over the world. And after discussions, we said, no, keep the budget to one side now. Let's just do this in a sort of guerrilla style. Let's just... This is like, basically what I'm saying is, and it's very, very clever. My operation, right, is very professional. I've got several staff, helping me in this. Production staff, etc., researchers, all this business. But through very clever techniques, I make it look like it's just a fucking one-man operation, just done on the cheap, Just for authenticity, that's the angle we decided at the initial brainstorming session, Let's just try and make it look like it's sort of, off the cuff. That was the plan. It's working quite well, really. I said, should I tidy myself up? They said, no. Come in, Scruffy. Brush your hair with a toffee apple, like Charlie Kenwright used to tell me. After about 7-8 episodes, have a shave, cut your hair. And then we go Scruffy again, over the next sort of 10 or 12 episodes. So we're in that sort of, right, let's just try and look... unkempt. We're heading towards another unkempt phase. So yeah, it's not easy to make something like this run, as I say, with a massive budget and all that, look like it's just not very, very, very clever. Yeah, that's what I was saying. It's pointless me going into the details in it of all this shit going on, because if you're watching this or you're watching this business, you'll know all that, Or you'll have your idea of what's going on. We've all got our different ideas, all got a different perspective in it. We've all got X amount of the relevant information. And we also haven't got X amount of the relevant information. So we can only comment on what we know. We have to remember there's lots of things we don't know. Somebody once said I think it was Deirdre Barlow, that the clever man knows what he doesn't know. No, Deirdre Rashid it was. I tell a lie. The clever man knows what he doesn't know. R.I.P. Deirdre. Free Deirdre. Yeah, so pointless going into details, I just want to give like an oversight of it. Moral of the story, stay away from each other's birds. Guys, we need to straighten each other's crowns. Hashtag be kind. Hashtag be too. Stay away from each other's birds. If you've got self-inflicted mental health issues, do something about it. That may free up some space for people who've got not self-inflicted mental health issues to get help quicker. Be kind, yeah. Try not to be rude to each other, yeah. Don't eat when you're podcasting. That's silly as well. One last thing, I'll finish then because this has gone on far too long. I've got a production meeting after this now to decide where we go with the channel in the future. Oh yeah, put a few of my old prank calls up. So if you see this and you haven't seen them, go back 1 or 2 videos. Some absolute classics from the archives. Was thinking about doing that, I know, and obviously, I'm nearly 30 years of age, so I really need to grow up a bit. But I may start doing like some prank calls with maybe a sort of a more serious sort of edge to them, a political type thing, Sort of exposing some of the corruption going on around the place via my extraordinary telephone manner. Yeah, one more thing as well. There was one more thing. I've forgotten what that one was now, but another thing has just cropped up in my mind. As I say, because I'm nearly 30, I always hear people say in these bloody lives and that. Like, PP was getting it last night. People like, what the fuck are you doing on here? You fucking 50 odd. And it's like, let's get one thing fucking straight, yeah? Once you're over, say, about 21, right? Then you shouldn't be doing this, yeah? In an ideal world, right? You shouldn't be watching a load of strangers on YouTube having little arguments. You shouldn't be putting little comments in. You shouldn't be making your little videos going, ooh, did you see this last night? He said this and he said this. Ooh, oh, let me tell you my really intellectual view on mental health and drug addiction and all. None of us should be doing that. But you shouldn't be doing it when you're 30, when you're 27, when you're 38, when you're 44. Once you pass 21, it's embarrassing. Yeah, don't make it, it's embarrassing because you're 50. It's embarrassing because you're 30, isn't it? We should all be embarrassed about this. We all need to take a good long look at ourselves and just be a bit embarrassed, that we're involved in the podcast wars. Anyway, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you today. I hope you're all well. If you've listened to this all in one go, well done. Congratulations, because your attention span is still working. I think I'm up to about 270 subs now. Progressing lovely, man, to be honest with you. Goes up a little bit each week, which, as I said before, it hides the fact that some people are fucking me off. So if I got 10 a week and lose 5, so I'm 5 up each week, by the time I'm 72, I can monetize this then and retire. Tidy. Yeah, anyway, I've said, oh no, I've said too much. As Michael Stipe once said. All the best, hairy chest.